In a ruling that rocked America, the Supreme Court of the United States scrapped the constitutional right to abortion.
People told me it was impossible, that we would never see this kind of victory, and now I know that victory is not only possible, it's happened.
Abortion is healthcare. Abortion is healthcare.
Seldom does a ruling result in such a reaction.
Abortions will continue, they just won't be legal, and women will die from botched abortions.
But this decision will impact the lives of millions of Americans. We were with medical staff inside an abortion clinic in the final days before they were forced to stop operating and tell people they could no longer help.
And see, it's like having to turn women away, like, that sucks.
It's very difficult to see it end, although we hope that the end is not permanent.
Don't kill your baby. Hey, God gave you that baby. Don't kill it.
We are the change. We are the change.
What now for them and for reproductive rights in this increasingly divided United States? Arkansas is one of the 13 states with anti-abortion laws designed to be triggered by the court's ruling, and where its impact was felt almost immediately.
Okay, Mr. Pluggy, you know the rules, right?
This is Little Rock Family Planning Services. It is the last independent abortion clinic in Arkansas. Most of the people who work here have done so for many years. They are, they say, a family. Since May, when the court's draft opinion was leaked,
either need legislative or governor approval, right?
They've known that their days providing the care they do here were numbered, and the ruling could come any day.
Not today.
You know, nope, not today. Woo!
You know, we've done whatever we can, jumped through all the hoops, just to still be able to be here and provide the care. And now to put this barrier in place that will truly make it impossible seems unbelievable.
They know it is now a waiting game. And so do the protesters that call them murderers outside.
It's the worst kind of murder, quite possibly, because it's premeditated and it's against a little defenseless baby.
Inside, friendly pranks provide a distraction from the pending unemployment that looms. Each of them knows every day they spend together could be the last. Dr. Willie Parker travels to Arkansas from another state because the restrictive laws and the threat of violence or financial ruin has long been too great for local doctors to carry out abortions here themselves.
Every day could mean that I may not get a chance to provide care that day, even though we intended. Abortion could start out legal in the morning and be illegal by the afternoon. So.
Just for you.
The Coke Zero fiery came.
The staff here have watched each other's children grow. They've supported each other through their own abortions. Charisse is one of a number at the clinic who were patients before becoming staff.
You want to work here? I'm like, you serious? She was like, yes. And then like a week later, Lori called me like, hey, I was calling to see if you still wanted to work here. And I'm like, okay, I love it.
This is not a funeral parlor. It is not a cancer ward. This is a place where people are getting health care.
Well, that's what people lead them to believe that it should be.
Right.
You know, society leads people to believe that this should be that solemn experience that you're saying, and it's not always the case because, I mean, we're saving these women's lives that comes from their own mouth.
There's no way I could afford another child right now. I'm working 2 jobs already, and I'm barely making it. If I'd had that other kid, I'd probably been having my baby like around this time.
Well, and thank goodness you had that choice.
Girl,
that right?
I want to cry just thinking about it. Like, I would not be able to. And not only me, my kids will be suffering too. You know what I'm saying?
It's Wednesday, the 15th of June, the week before the ruling. Hannah knows she may not be doing this tomorrow. So does Michelle. But it's easy to keep busy with a higher number of appointments than they've ever known.
Everybody's getting their areas ready.
Today is one more day that they can provide care for women, regardless of what brings them here.
I mean, I have seen so many different scenarios of so many different women. I've heard so many stories. And I just can't even imagine what some of these women are going through outside of just their story that they're telling us. You know, we don't even get the whole story.
Give me some non-sterile gloves. When abortion became legal, pregnancy became safer for women in this country. And just like abortion made pregnancy safe, the criminalization of abortion will make pregnancy unsafe. We will come to recognize the full cost of criminalizing abortion when we start to see the bump in the rise in maternal mortality and morbidity, suffering and death related to conditions that are unique to pregnancy.
Been praying here for 12 years and
They don't know exactly when or what it will say, but the protesters outside, the clinic escorts, the reception and medical staff all know the ruling is coming, so they have now stopped taking new appointments.
It's hard to be on the phone with someone and to hear their voice crack and to hear them start crying, because I myself have been in the situation where I've needed to have an abortion, and that abortion saved my life from a domestic violence situation, and you never know what these women are going through, you know, and birth control fails all the time, and sometimes people become pregnant, you know, under circumstances that wasn't even consensual.
All right. Ms. Dahl, Dr. Parker.
Due to so-called trap laws or targeted regulation of abortion providers, Dr. Parker is legally bound to inform patients of what will happen using specific terminology at least 72 hours before he terminates their pregnancies. It means many women have to take several days off work and make the often long and costly journey twice.
There's some things that the state requires me to tell you. Some of those things I think are designed to scare you, but they can require me to tell you, but I get to interpret and tell you what I think they mean. And the reason I explain it that way is because the people who want you to feel guilty and unsure tell you you're killing a baby at this stage, but what they're really giving you is their opinion.
It's gonna go on your left arm. So hold your left arm straight up in the air. Good.
20-year-old Lauren has travelled here from Oklahoma, a state which banned abortion months before the Supreme Court gave any state the right to do so. She says she doesn't have the financial or mental stability to bring up a child alone. She allowed us to film during her procedure.
Dr. Parker, this is Miss Lauren, 15 weeks.
All right. They got you comfortable?
Yeah.
All right,
We had
good.
50 mics earlier.
Yeah, Lori told me she. All right, Miss Lauren, I'm going to tell you everything I'm doing, no surprises. I'm going to get you through this.
The more pressure you feel, I want you to let that bottom melt into the table. Okay? Big breath. And exhale and relax your whole body.
Have any sprinkles for you? Bye, thank you.
Lauren is taken to the recovery room after 20 hours of travel and a 5-minute procedure.
It does seem inappropriate. I mean, the practice of medicines, you know, we've argued for many, many years should be left to the people that practice medicine, and that medical decisions are private between the doctor and their patient, and to have the government involved has always been something that we've argued against. You know, we are here and do this care for the reasons that are very personal, and many of us who work here have done this for a really long time, and to have that no longer be accessible is very upsetting.
Don't kill your baby. Don't kill your baby. Don't kill your baby.
This is where the case decided at the Supreme Court originated. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the last abortion clinic in Mississippi, also known as the Pink House.
Young lady, your baby is alive right now. Please, would you have
The state of Mississippi tried to ban almost all abortions here after 15 weeks. When the highest court in the land ruled in its favor, it overturned its own most famous and controversial ruling in the case of Roe versus Wade. That gave women across the United States the right to choose. Now, 50 years on, it's taken that right away from individuals and handed it to individual states. Many Republican-led states, including Mississippi, now have or will either ban abortion or severely restrict access to it.
We're trying to protect the unborn black child, and you're not.
Critics of the Supreme Court's ruling say this is where it will be most acutely felt. As you drive around the Mississippi Delta, you can see just how rural it is. The uniform rows of crops that ripple by stretch further than the eye can see. This is the land of the haves and the have-nots, with little but farmland in between.
Okay, Al, come on, let's go.
Amanda Furge was a struggling single mum, still breastfeeding a baby when she found out she was pregnant again.
Come on, big man. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Turn this way.
She was staying with her parents, having just escaped an abusive partner, and was adamant she wanted a termination. But she says she was tricked by a crisis pregnancy centre into thinking they would help her until it was too late.
Eventually, I found out that I had timed out, essentially, whether it was from how far along I was or just whatever, I had timed out on the pink house. So I knew then my only other option is to go somewhere else, another state, but I didn't have any transportation. I didn't have any funds.
She had no choice but to have the baby here in the poorest region of the poorest state, with the lowest number of doctors per capita anywhere in America, and where many clinics have closed. In the Mississippi Delta, wages are low and health insurance is expensive. That combination has led to nearly 40% of the population here being saddled with medical debts. If they can't pay, clinics and hospitals close, and access to healthcare gets worse, not better. That, plus the lack of basic transportation and nutrition, puts many pregnant people in the highest risk categories.
The banning of abortion will increase maternal morbidity and mortality. This is our clinic.
At the Delta Health Centre here in Mount Bayou, its only obstetrician tells me banning abortion will exacerbate an already desperate situation.
And I think what is sometimes missing in the general public discussion of abortion is that abortion is a necessary part of reproductive care. You know, blindly banning abortion really puts women's lives at risk.
Greenwood is less than an hour away, but it feels like another world. At the regular Sunday service, local obstetrician Dr. Terry McMillan is among the choir. He doesn't agree.
There will be more children being given a chance at life. I don't think women's health care will be impacted. Maybe we shouldn't have sex outside of marriage, and then we wouldn't have to make those difficult decisions.
So this is our reception area where we
When abstinence fails, which it often does, crisis pregnancy centres, which women like Amanda often confuse with clinics, step in. There, the answer to unwanted pregnancy and any hardship it might bring is counselling and prayer.
Have you ever sat in this room and thought, maybe having this baby is not the right choice for this girl?
Never. I don't think there's such a thing as a child that shouldn't be born. I just don't think that. I think the world's a better place with the more children. And I understand that there are higher risks, but I also know that women who are in poverty do have healthy babies.
Mega 7 says slow down.
But Amanda says there's nowhere near enough support here for the children people are being forced to have.
What would you say to anti-abortion campaigners and people at the crisis pregnancy centres who would say to you now, we helped you because now you've got this lovely little boy, Mega, who you never would have had?
I would say to them, what I've been saying to them in my mind for years and years. No thanks to you. Because you don't know what we went through. You don't know that my abuser had to be escorted out of the hospital when I had Mega. But it all worked out. Did it really? Like, can we really get into it? What about the young woman who's dead? What about the kids who don't have a mom? What about the child who's being abused? What about the kids in the foster care system who are suffering? What about the kids who, there's no grocery store, there's no hospital, they don't have books at school? What about the parents who don't have jobs? So yes, we have these children, but we can't support them.
Amanda, like many others here, feels she has already effectively been living in a post-Roe world, one which had little respect for the reproductive rights she was constitutionally entitled to. Life will go on here, but now, as soon as they're born, the future generations of the Delta will have even fewer rights and fewer choices than their parents did. Just after 9 a.m. on Friday the 24th of June, the Supreme Court delivered its decision. The agonizing wait at the clinic is over. It was exactly the ruling they'd been dreading, but the expectation didn't make the court's decision any less devastating.
I love this place. I love these people. Everybody's super nice. I love what we do. You know, it's really helpful for women who feel like they don't have another way out.
This isn't a country that I ever thought I would know. I thought that this country would still care about people, would still care about women. We've got to make sure that everyone knows how important this is. This isn't just women. These people out here want a Christian nationalist country. They don't want you taking birth control.
They're going after transgender people next and queer people and
But they'll tell us that. You've probably heard some of the things they say. They tell us what they're going to do after this is closed.
My suggestion is for you to turn around and leave this place of sin, this place of iniquity, this evil place.
The regular protesters outside the clinic welcomed the ruling.
You are on notice. Your license plate has been recorded. You will be reported to the authorities.
While some busied themselves taking down registration numbers, clinic escorts began explaining to patients that continued to arrive why they could no longer help.
Abortion is murder. It's just been upheld. The right of abortion is returned to the people and to their elected representatives. We will not fully celebrate until abortion is eradicated fully from our land, until Little Rock Family Planning Services, for example, is closed down and does not reopen. Then we can celebrate for sure.
I am proud to announce, as Chief Legal Officer for the state of Arkansas, that the United States Supreme Court has in fact overruled Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey, thereby restoring the state of Arkansas the authority to prohibit abortions.
A few hours later in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas's Attorney General fought back tears of joy as she signed an almost total ban on abortion into law. Terminations can only take place here now in the case of a life-threatening maternal medical emergency. There are no exceptions for cases of rape or incest. It's a law even the state's governor has said will lead to heartbreaking circumstances for some young girls.
All of those conversations on policy happened in 2019 to whether or not we should include rape or incest in those exceptions. And the legislature decided that no, we should not include those exceptions, that it should only be in the life of the mother.
And do you agree with that, or do you, like the governor, have reservations about that?
No, I do agree, because this is an innocent life that we are talking about. And that innocent life that begins at conception, because it was formed under evil circumstances, doesn't make that innocent child evil.
Today, our Attorney General signed the proclamation that made it clear that women who are victims of rape and children who are victims of rape and victims of incest are no longer able to try to regain that control.
This was the reaction outside the Capitol building.
It's my choice, it's my power.
When there are women who need to have something done to their bodies that no man should ever tell us, or woman, that we can't do, we ought to be able to do it.
We are the change. We are the change.
Get your ass out and vote.
Among those demonstrating is Karen, the clinic escort.
Hi, my name is Karen Music. That felt better than I thought it would. I'm sorry, thank you. We do clinic escorting. We started out, Arkansas Abortion Support Network started out as a clinic escort program where we were there at the clinic helping people walk in through the door. And I was there today with some other escorts when they closed their doors. It's heartbreaking. But we're going to continue to do this. We're going to keep raising money and helping get people out of state. There are facilities other places, and we're going to be sending them there.
Do you want me to take your information, or would you like the information?
Back at the clinic, they had to come to terms with the fact that the care they provided here for many years is now a criminal offence.
None of them are close to us. The closest we have is Illinois. There's the Hope Clinic. It's in Granite City. It's about 10 minutes from St. Louis. Do you want their phone number? I don't think there's a waiting period there, but it is about a 5.5-hour drive.
And tell people not to come for their appointments and help them make alternative arrangements.
Okay, can I help you with anything else? You're welcome. And see, it's like having to turn women away, like, that sucks.
What did she say? What's she gonna do?
She's going to look on prochoice.org, and sorry, I feel like my face is getting hot, because I start crying every time I have to tell them no, but she's going to look and hopefully find a place where she can get an abortion, and if not, then she'll have a kid that she doesn't want to have, and probably won't be a good situation. Yes, that's all. So that sucks.
Jennifer first walked through this corridor more than 10 years ago when she came here a young woman who was in trouble and looking for help. She says her abortion saved her life and that the care she received here inspired her to train so she could do the same for others.
And to not be able to provide anybody else with that when I know what this place is capable of, it's heartbreaking, man. It's really heartbreaking. I mean, they just need to come listen to these phone calls I get every day and how I have to tell them, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do for you. I'm sorry that your boyfriend beats you every day and that he rapes you all the time. There's nothing I can do. You're going to have to find somewhere else to go. I mean, I can give them information to help them try, but it's heartbreaking, man. Like, you know, this place saved my life, literally.
I feel angry in the way that anybody who is deeply vested in human rights should feel angry and outraged and indignant anytime they are witnessing injustice. If you're not angry, you have to question what your values are.
Although it looks scary, very much not invasive.
There will be some follow-up care here for recent patients and the administrative work that comes with winding down a business. But operations have stopped and the clinic is now, for all intents and purposes, closed.
It's very difficult to see it end, although we hope that the end is not permanent. We know that there are other ways we can still pursue our support of this movement and abortion care. And I mean, no matter what new avenue I find in a job, I will still definitely work with everything I have to help ensure that this right returns. We obviously care very much for our staff. As you've said, we're like family, we truly are. We want them to continue to have jobs and careers that are fulfilling, and it's very heartbreaking that our work is gone. But I again think it's important to know that there are so many women out there who will not be able to travel, who do not have the means, and who will ultimately not get care. And that is a tragedy as well.
The decision of the 6 conservative justices at the Supreme Court will impact the lives of millions of Americans. Far from closing this decades-long debate, it has intensified it and led to a wave of legislation and lawsuits that has only deepened the chasm dividing the United States and led the world to question its direction, which even its president seems powerless to control.